Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 375th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Now, as a lot of you know, I tend to number my battles, but if I was to name this battle, I think I would name it something along the lines of predictability. Is that a good thing? If you become predictable on the battlefield, do you think that that's a good thing or a bad thing? So what we do in the course of this battle, we'll have a look at predictability and see if it is a good thing or a bad thing. Because remember that if someone knows what you're going to do, that very old saying comes to mind: forewarned is forearmed. Okay, so forewarned is forearmed. So as I say, if you do become predictable, then obviously, and you play with the same people a lot of the time, then they know exactly what you're going to do. And as I say, you can become predictable. You'll see what I mean as the battle opens. As you can see, this battle was fought on a custom map hosted by Brotherhood member Crypto. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Lando, or as a lot of veterans would know him, Brotherhood member Turbo, who has bought the Rome SPQR faction. As you can see there, he's got 13 infantry and 2 archers and 5 cavalry. Okay, so 13 infantry, 2 archers and 5 cavalry. Let's have a quick look at the upgrades of his cavalry. Okay, he's got 8 upgrades. So he's got 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Now, as we know, Praetorian cavalry are already elite cavalry, but you put 2 experience stripes on them and they become even more elite. They become kind of like super elite. So it'll be interesting to see how well Lando's cavalry does during the course of the battle. But I think that's a pretty good balanced army there. 13 infantry, 2 archers, 5 cavalry. Okay, our next teammate is Brotherhood member Aurelius, who has also bought the Rome SBQR faction. And I think he's just got 10 infantry. Yeah, 10 infantry and 4 archers there. Let's see what upgrades he's got in his infantry. He's just got gold shield, gold attack on his infantry there. I think some of his infantry have got an experience stripe on, so he's got kind of like mixed upgrades on his infantry there. Okay, so as I say, but only 10 infantry. Is that enough for the modern day battlefield? And I see he's got 6 cavalry. Let's have a quick look at the upgrades of his cavalry. Okay, he's got 7 upgrades. So he's got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. So that makes that Praetorian cavalry pretty tough. But also within his infantry, yeah, he's only got 10 units. But if you notice, he's got an infantry general. And he's also got an eagle unit. So he's got a lot of morale going on there. Remember, the eagle unit and the general unit both give morale to friendly troops there. So as I say, he's only got 10 infantry, but he's got a lot of morale there. 10 infantry, 4 archers and 6 cavalry. Okay, our next teammate is Brotherhood member Uther. He's called himself Uhtred of Bebenberg, but it is actually Brotherhood member Uther. As you can see, he's bought the Rome Julio faction. He's got 11 infantry there, I think, and 3 archers. 11 infantry, 3 archers, and I think he's got 5 heavy cavalry, and then usually a light cavalry unit there. Let's just go and have a look. If we look at the upgrades on his cavalry, okay, so he's got 7 upgrades on his heavy cavalry. That's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. Now here is a unit you very seldom see brought to the 31k battlefield. It is the cavalry auxiliary missile troops. Okay, very rare to see these on the modern day 31k battlefield. As I said, they are missile troops, fast-moving missile troops. And look at the upgrades he's put on that unit. Fully upgraded, 9 upgrades, 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So it'll be interesting to see how well he uses those cavalry during the course of the battle. So that's a pretty good, interesting army build there. And their last teammate is myself. Our last teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who's also bought the Rome Julio faction. Okay, so I've usually got my 12 infantry and 6 cavalry. Very old army, but it seems to be okay for me. So there's our team, full of experience, but you wait till you see the other team. Should be a great one to watch. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Steve Longshanks, who has bought the Rome SPQR faction. 1, 2, 3. He's got 12 infantry and 4 archers there. 12 infantry, 4 archers. Let's have a close look at the upgrades on his infantry. Okay, some of his, oh my gosh, there's 1 infantry unit, 1 urban cohort unit, fully upgraded. 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. And I can see a couple of his units have got those same type of upgrades in. I can see some of his upgrades units have got just 6 upgrades, but look, he's got some units with no upgrades on at all. Okay, so that's a very unusual kind of army there with different upgrades on, and some, as I say, with no upgrades. I see his general there. My guess that would be a fully upgraded unit. Yeah, he's fully upgraded his general there. So once again, don't forget, that's 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack on his general. It makes that unit incredibly difficult to kill. But as I say, other units he's got no upgrades on at all. I notice he's got an eagle unit as well. So with that general unit and the eagle unit, there's a lot of morale going on there with his troops. But as I say, he's got very unusual mixed upgrades and no upgrades. So as I say there, that's an interesting build. And I see he's got 4 cavalry. Just got 4 cavalry. Let's have a quick look at the upgrades on his cavalry. Okay, so he's got 7 upgrades. He's got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. So yeah, that'll be an interesting army to see how well it does during the course of the battle there. As I say, 12 infantry, 4 archers, and 4 cavalry. Okay, their next teammate is Brotherhood member Trajan. Now, just to say, in the early days of Rome Total War, our Roman formations used to be wide and thin. Okay, but pretty soon into RTW, we found that big, heavy cavalry charges used to smash through our thin lines, so we went for more depth. But if you notice here, Trajan's got a bit of both. He's got a good wide formation, but he's also got depth as well within that formation. So, of course, with a wide formation, it makes it more difficult to flank. And with the depth, it means that big cavalry hits aren't going to smash your battle lines like they would if, like in the early days of Rome Total War, where we just had long, thin battle lines there. So to say, that's a bit of old and a bit of new there with a wide formation, but also in depth. I see he's got 13 infantry and 6 cavalry, so if I get upgrades on his cavalry. Well, he's got 8 upgrades on his cavalry, so 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So as I say, Praetorian cavalry already elite, but you put those upgrades on and that makes them super elite. So that's a pretty good balanced army there. No archers, but a pretty good army there. Okay, their next teammate is Brotherhood member Legion 22. He's got, I think, 9 Spartans there and 5 armoured hoplites. Now if you look at the formation there, see the armoured hoplites? They'll be the ones that take the pillars and make the first contact with the enemy. Okay, so they'll make first contact with the enemy. The enemy troops then have got to fight through them, and then they become tired, and then they come up against his elite Spartans. Now, we just have a look at his Spartan upgrades here. I think you'll find they're staggered. If you notice his armoured hoplites there, I think have only got 3 upgrades on. Let's have a look and see. Yeah, he's just got 3 upgrades on his armoured hoplites, which I'm guessing will be gold defence, because obviously he wants them to hold as long as they can. His first Spartan line, just gold shield, gold attack, 6 upgrades. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so he just got gold shield, gold attack on his first, and his second line of Spartans there. Yeah, 6 upgrades again. But if we look at his third line there, he's got 8 upgrades. 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack on those 3 Spartans at the back. Now, as you know, Spartans have got great specifications, 2 hit points, excellent morale. You put 2 experience stripes on them, and that makes these already superb infantry really superb. How many veterans have seen Spartans here with 2 experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on? Very rare, because they're so expensive. So it'd be interesting to see how those really well upgraded Spartans do during the course of the battle. Make no mistake, you put 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack on Spartan units, and they are superb. So that'd be interesting to see how well that army does. I see he's got 5 long-range Cretan archers and a light-moving cavalry unit, which I'm supposing he'll use to try and target enemy archers there. So it'd be interesting to see how that army goes during the course of the battle. Let's say he's only got 1 upgrade on that fast-moving cavalry unit, but it'll be interesting to see if he does take out any archers. So that's an interesting Greek city army build there, especially with those upgrades. Okay, their 4th teammate is the host of this battle, Brotherhood member Crypto, who has bought the Rome Scipio faction. See how many units he's got there. Got 13 infantry. If we have a look at the upgrades, if you notice, he's got gold shield, gold attack on his pilot shield units, and on his I think the whole army basically is gold shield, gold attack there. Yeah, 6 upgrades, gold shield, gold attack, 13 infantry. You've got 1 archer unit and 6 cavalry. I wonder what the upgrades will be on his cavalry. 1, 2, and he's got 6 upgrades on his cavalry. So it's basically all his army are gold shield, gold attack there. So that's a pretty good army there. And it should be interesting to see how well it does during the course of the battle. So there's the other team there, full of experience, really good army builds. It's got the potential to be a great battle. And it'll be interesting to see how well it goes. Okay, so this stage of the battle, if you remember at the beginning of the battle, I told you about, if I was to name this battle, it'd be about predictability. Now, those of you that have watched the last 2 battle videos, have you noticed that Brotherhood member Lando has aggressively attacked right from the beginning? Okay, it's great to be aggressive. You know, grab the initiative by the scruff of the neck, take the battle to the enemy, make the enemy react to you, they kind of dance to your tune. But if you do that in every single battle, especially if you play with the same people a lot, you can become predictable. And if you become predictable, that very old saying about forewarned is forearmed really comes to mind here, because I bet you anything that Steve, Crypto, Trajan and Legion there are already talking amongst themselves about keeping an eye on Lando, because if he does get isolated, if he becomes too aggressive and gets isolated, you can bet your bottom dollar that those 4 will realise that and they will be targeted, his army. Okay, so as I say, it's really good to be aggressive and attacking. But if you do that all the time, right, in every single battle, you do become predictable. And as I say, I bet the other team there will be watching Lando very closely. And they will be looking to see if he becomes isolated by being over-aggressive. And they will look to hit him. Okay, so let's just see what Lando does during the course of the battle. Maybe he might not be that aggressive. Okay, at this stage of the battle, you can see that Lando is running his army across as fast as he can over to try and intercept Crypto's army. But look how far away he is from his allies. Okay, so he's already starting to run across the battlefield there to obviously to intercept Crypto's flank is what he would like to do there. But as I say, the other team will be watching Lando very closely there. Now, here he is stopped, which is a good move. He may be going to allow his allies to catch up with him here. He's not running straight over there. But I can guarantee you that the other team will be watching him very closely, knowing that he's very aggressive, very attacking. And if they can isolate him and take him out with numbers, they will. Okay, at this stage of the battle here, you can see that Uther's moving that fast-moving missile cavalry unit over here, probably with the idea to try and target Steve's archers as they're moving over towards the centre of their team there. Okay, so he's moving that fast-moving unit over there. If you notice here, can you see that Steve has seen that and is moving his 4 heavy cavalry units over to intercept that fast-moving cavalry unit there. Okay, now remember that fast-moving cavalry unit will outrun those heavy cavalry all day. Let's just pause the game for a second. So that fast-moving cavalry unit there will outrun, as I say, those heavy cavalry all day. Now, Uther, as we know, has got very well upgraded cavalry. 8 upgrades on his cavalry. Now, if he runs that light cavalry unit round, he may be able to draw Steve's cavalry over towards his well-upgraded cavalry. Now, remember, Uther's cavalry outnumbers Steve's cavalry 5-4, but also Uther's got big upgrades. I think Steve's only had 7 upgrades on his cavalry and Uther's got 8. So as I say, if he can lure Steve's cavalry over towards his own cavalry there, then that's just what he'd like to do. Meanwhile, on the other flank there, on our right flank over here where Lando is moving there, if you notice there, he has stopped running over towards the enemy team, which is good. He stopped becoming so aggressive, allowing maybe his teammates to catch up. I see Aurelius is moving his infantry over towards him as well. So that's a good move, not being over-aggressive. But meanwhile here, can you see Steve's heavy cavalry there are chasing those light cavalry units. And as I say, if Uther draws those Steve's cavalry away far enough, he may start bringing his own cavalry over there. Can you see Uther's bringing his well-upgraded Julii heavy cavalry over towards Steve's cavalry there. He'll use that light cavalry unit to run round and round and round, and as Steve's just concentrating on trying to catch that fast-moving cavalry unit with his own, he may not be watching to see Uther bringing his heavy upgraded cavalry across the battlefield. Okay, let's just pause again for a second here. So as I say, Uther's bringing his heavily upgraded cavalry across the battlefield here. He's running round Steve's cavalry with that light cavalry unit there. And as I say, Steve might be concentrating on that light cavalry unit so much, he hasn't noticed that Uther's heavy cavalry is coming across the battlefield. Meanwhile, over on our right flank here, as I say, Let's see what Lando's doing here at this stage of the battle. Okay, can you see he's moving towards the enemy line here? Once again, his aggressive instincts are, you know, that you can see they're always there. He always wants to attack, which is good. It's always good to be aggressive and attack in RTW, but not maybe to be too aggressive and not to be predictable. My guess is here Legion is going to try and block Aurelius here, take him on, and then Crypto with his cavalry, and my guess is Trajan's cavalry as well, will come down here and try and isolate and try and take out Lando's army there. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Make no mistake, the enemy team know Lando's aggressive tactics, and they will, as I say, they've been forewarned and they are now forearmed, and I bet they've got a plan going here to be able to try and take on Lando's army there. As I say, you can see Crypto moving down. Let's just pause again for a second. You see Crypto moving down. You've got Trajan's cavalry, you've got Crypto's cavalry. If you notice, Steve's moving his army down from the other flank as well. So it looks like it's going to be a big hit there. Meanwhile, over on our left flank here, you can see that Uther's heavy, well-upgraded cavalry has almost reached Steve's cavalry here. Right, can you see here? Now, it wouldn't surprise me if that light cavalry unit tried to intercept that cavalry unit to stop it from running away, allowing Uther's cavalry units to charge into it maybe, and take that unit out. Yeah, so that's one of Steve's cavalry units just been taken out there, and as you can see, that fast-moving cavalry unit hit that other Scipio unit, stopped it from running away, allowing the heavy cavalry to hit them. So that's 2 out of 4 Steve's cavalry units there have just been taken out. Okay, so if we move on to the other flank there, once again you can see Crypto is moving towards Lando there, and you can see a lot of enemy cavalry. A lot of enemy cavalry there looking at Lando's army. You see Trajan and Crypto's cavalry here moving around. I noticed that Aurelius has brought his SBQR cavalry over to this flank to help Lando there. So that's a nice move there. Right, can you see here Lando charging his cavalry in, and bang, as that cavalry smashes in. You can see the enemy Scipio cavalry charging in as well. If you notice that Lando's moved a lot of his infantry units over to this side of the battlefield as well. But as you can see, a lot of the enemy team are bringing infantry and cavalry down to this flank. Right, can you see Aurelius' 6th cavalry going to charge into the enemy Scipio infantry. And as it gets closer and closer and closer, and bang, as it smashes in to the enemy Scipio units there. Okay, so a nice supporting role there by Aurelius with his cavalry. But as I say, Lando here now is facing Crypto's army, Trajan's cavalry, and if you notice that Steve's bringing his infantry over from the other flank as well. So it's going to be a numbers game here on this particular flank. Let's say Aurelius is trying to support as best he can there with his cavalry, but as I say, Lando's infantry there, it looks to me like he's trying to push through a gap there to get in behind the enemy Scipio troops. But as I say, you can see Steve's infantry moving on down to try and take him out as well there. So as I say, Lando is a little bit isolated there. His nearest ally is, as I say, the SBQ Aurelius, and he's quite a long way away from him. Aurelius has sent cavalry over, but the infantry is a long way away from Lando. Okay, now if you notice here, Brotherhood member Trajan here is acting as a blocker. He's trying to block both Uther and myself getting over to Lando here with his wide, in-depth formation. So both Uther and myself have got to try and smash through Trajan here if we can to get over to help Lando. Okay, but there's also some enemy Greek city armoured hoplites there as well, so we'll have to be careful how we use our cavalry. But as I say, yeah, Trajan is being a blocker. You can see the Greek city units here fighting, I think, some of Aurelius and some of Lando's infantry there. But as I say, the enemy team's goal here is to try and take out Lando's army here on the right flank. As I say, Steve's brought his entire army over from the other flank to take on Lando's army here. Where you can see Lando charging cavalry, and again, he's doing very well here actually. He's routed a lot of Scipio troops there. But as you can see with the numbers, the numbers that are creeping up on him, if you like. As I say, it will be a numbers game on this right flank. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see, Steve's army's just arrived. So Crypto's fighting Steve's army. Lando's fighting Crypto's army and Steve's army. Right, can you see my Giulio army here? I'm trying to push through. I want to try and surge my troops through Trajan's army if I can, to try and get over to help Lando out. If I can break through there, I'm getting to the rear of those engaged Scipio troops as well. As you can see, Uther's bringing his infantry over as well to try and smash through. Uther's got infantry out at the flank there, looking to smash into Trajan's flank. As I say, we're going to try and be extremely aggressive and try and smash through Trajan's army to get over to Lando's army there to try and support him. But whether we'll be able to get there in time, I don't know, because Trajan's got a good blocking army there. As you can see here, Lando's still fighting well, moving his infantry around really well there. But as you can see, it's a numbers game. He's facing all of Crypto's army and now all of Steve's army and all their cavalry, as well as all their infantry. Right here, can you see Uther got in behind Trajan's infantry and bang, as he charges his cavalry into the rear of one of Trajan's units there. As you can see, both Uther and myself are surging forward with our infantry, going to try and break Trajan's formation there. If we can break through there, then we can get over to help Lando. But as I say, Trajan is the blocking force there for the other team. And as I say, we've got to try and as we can break through there to get over to the other side there. Right, can you see here now, basically, I think all of Lando's infantry has now been taken out. Okay, so I think basically all of Lando's infantry have been taken out. I think he's still got some cavalry units left, but by and large, all his infantry has been taken out here on our right flank. Okay, so as I say, the other team obviously had a battle plan there to take out Lando's army there on that flank, and that's exactly what they've done. Let's say, now you've got Steve's army here. Okay, now you can see that Lando's infantry has been taken out. What would you do if you were Steve, in charge of Steve's army here? What do you think you would do? Would you take them on round there to go and confront Aurelius's army? Is that what you would do? Because you've got Crypto's troops there still holding the line in that particular part for any SBQR units that might rally. So would you take Steve, if you were in charge of Steve's army, would you take it round this flank, or would you take that army up to support Trajan, bearing in mind he's facing two aggressive Julii armies there? Both Uther and myself are trying to smash through Trajan's army here with cavalry and infantry. So if you had if you were in charge of Steve's army there, you can see the Greek cities there are fighting Aurelius. So if you were Steve's infantry there, which way would you go with your army? As I say, would you go around this flank here and go and kind of confront Aurelius's SBQR army, or would you take that army up there to support Trajan, who is facing two armies there? Which do you think you would do if you were in charge of Steve's army? Okay, be interesting to see what happens. As I say, there's still some SBQR cavalry here on this particular flank, but as I say, for all intents and purposes, all the other SBQR infantry that was round there has been taken out. Okay, there's a nice charge here by the SBQR cavalry, and bang! As our teammate charges in there with his, as I say, with the SBQR cavalry, pulls the game for a second. But if you notice here, Steve has decided to move his infantry round here. Okay, he's coming around this flank here. Okay, as I say, you've got Crypto's infantry there that could probably hold the line, but he's decided to bring his infantry round that particular flank. So as I say, the SBQR cavalry are charging in. Steve's going to move his infantry round there, probably maybe with an intention just to mop up the SBQR units that are left. But as I say, poor old Trajan is blocking as good as he could. He's held really well, holding really well here against our two armies. But both Uther and myself are going to be extremely aggressive here. You might see my Julii cavalry units charging in wedge formation. Now I know that I'm not going to smash through those intact Scipio units, but what I'm hoping to do is to cause as many casualties as I can, so when our infantry does meet, then those units would be weakened, and hopefully our infantry will be able to break them. Okay, nice move by Trajan. He started to throw his missiles when he saw my cavalry coming in, so I'm going to suffer pilot damage. But all Uther and myself want to do is try and smash through Trajan's units here to try and get over to that other flank. But as you can see here, my cavalry now has been stopped. There's a counter-attack of Scipio cavalry coming back in, but I'm going to turn my cavalry and try and go into the rear of those engaged Scipio troops. If you notice, Uther's cavalry is charging as well. Bang! As Uther's cavalry charges in there as well. Okay, so let's pause the game for a second. So remember, we are the red Julii attacking the blue Scipio at this part of the battlefield there. So let's say we've got two armies, Uther and my own, attacking Trajan's blocking army here. And I must say, Trajan has held extremely well against our two aggressive attacking armies there. As you can see here, the enemy Greek cities, Spartans are holding extremely well against Aurelius's infantry attack. Now remember what I've said in other battle videos, no Roman general really likes to attack spears or pikes head on, unless they got a plan, like to hold the pike and spear unit where they get units in behind. To attack them head on, you can lose a lot of men from there. Okay, you can see both Steve's and Crypto's army here are moving around. Look like they're going to move around to maybe take on Aurelius's engaged infantry fighting their Greek city's ally. But as you can see, there's Crypto's and Steve Longshanks' army there. But as I say, if you look a little bit up there where the arrow is now, you can see that both Uther and my armies are pushing in on Trajan's formation. I think Trajan needs a lot of support up there at the moment, or I think his army is going to break. So I think both Crypto and Steve, if they could get their infantry up there to support Trajan, then maybe that might be a good move there. Greek city's ally hold all day against that frontal attack of Rome. So they just need to get support up to Trajan there, I think. Right, you can see here a lot of Trajan's units are starting to rout. If you notice, Crypto's moving, trying to move some of his infantry up there to help Trajan there. But I don't think they're going to get there fast enough there, because I think I can see a lot of Trajan's units starting to rout.
His army is broken too. The enemy general is slain, and now his men fear us. It is time to press the attack.
Right, you can see, I just pause the game for a second here. So you can see that Crypto spotted the danger look and is trying to send infantry over to help. If you notice here, both, as I say, Uther and myself have been aggressively attacking Trajan. And fair play to Trajan with that nice formation there. He's held very well. But if you notice here, can you see there's a couple of rallied SBQR units there of Lando's. But Steve's army here, maybe it might be a good idea to take that army just up there to maybe help Crypto and what's left of Lando's army there, because that's, I think, where the real danger is. Greek city's ally, as I say, those Spartans are hold all day against frontal Roman attacks, so he hasn't got to worry about supporting Legion at this stage of the battle. Okay, as I say, those Spartans are hold all day against frontal Roman attack. So what he needs to do, I think, really is maybe get his army up there to support his allies there. Right, just like to draw your attention, can you see here Aurelius, his unit is saying panicked by fire arrow. If you notice there, and his own fire arrows, if you shoot fire arrows over your own troops into the enemy, if those any of those fire arrows drop short, okay, they're going to land on the rear of your own troops, panicking them and lowering their morale. So remember, if you use fire arrows, try not to shoot them over the heads of your own troops, because if any of those fire arrows drop short, they're going to panic your own troops and lower the morale of your own troops, making them more susceptible to routing. Okay, so be very aware of that when you use fire arrows. As I say, Steve's army there now, not sure what he's going to do, but I think really, I bet when he watches this, I bet he's thinking, oh, I should take my army up there to support Trajan and Crypto. Because as I say, his Greek cities allies, those Spartans are hold all day against frontal Roman attacks there. Okay, but meanwhile, Uther and myself, with our aggressive attacking, you can see my cavalry going in there, bang, as that cavalry smashes into that enemy Scipii unit there, routing that unit. And as I say, Uther and myself now trying to break the enemy Scipii troops up there. You can see some of our allies SBQR cavalry charging into some of Steve's archer units there, trying to take them out. That's a nice surgical hit there by that cavalry going in to take out those archers. Okay, so I think Crypto's general's just been taken out, and if you notice here, both Uther and myself, remember we're the red Julii troops there, moving down onto Steve's army, and hopefully into the rear of those enemy Greek city units as well. Okay, so we've finally broken through Trajan and Crypto's reinforcements there. We've routed them and are now coming down for Steve's army, and hopefully get, as I say, get into the rear of those enemy Greek city units. Steve has now turned his army to face us, but I think both Uther and myself here are just going to surge our troops forward here. We just want to try and take out Steve's army with numbers there, because don't forget, we've got two armies there, both Uther's and my own. If you notice, we're surging our troops forward here. Can you see one of Steve's Eagle unit has now been routed, so that's less morale going to his troops. If you notice here, can you see our Julii troops really surging forward there, trying to push and penetrate into those Scipii troops there, really aggressively pushing forward there. And if you notice here, can you see Legion 22's taking out some of his Spartan units there to help his Scipio units. ally there. Can you see I'm charging my cavalry in behind those engaged Scipii troops there, trying to go for Steve's general? Can you see I'm pushing forward, trying to hit his general there? I'd like to take his general out there to lower the morale of his troops. You can see Uther's cavalry coming as well. Don't forget there's Uther's and my infantry there engaging Steve's infantry, and bang, as Uther's cavalry goes in. Okay, so remember the enemy are the blue Scipii and the Greek cities there. We are the red and the purple. Okay, right, can you see, as I say, I think Legion sent those 3 units that had 8 upgrades on each over to support Steve here. But what I'd like to draw your attention to, do you remember we've talked in other battle videos about Roman generals will avoid attacking pikes and spears head on unless they got a plan. The plan would be to attack them, hold them where you get units around the rear or the flank. But if you just attack them head on, you will lose loads of Roman troops. Look at the piles of SBQR troops that have died on those spears already. As I say, those Spartans will just hold all day against Roman troops. So as I say, unless you've got a plan to get units in behind engaged spear or pike units, try not to attack spear or pike units head on with Roman armies, because you'll just pile up loads of your men dead in front of those spears or pikes. Okay, here, so as you can see here, our infantry are charging in. Don't forget Uther shooting fire arrows all the time with his close formation archers into those Greek city units as well. Now my guess is here, what Legion 22 is going to do, he's going to see that a little bit of the writings on the wall here, so I think he's going to try and box up. I think it might be a good time now to box up with his Greek cities units. Let's pause the game for a second. Well, as I say here, can you see the dead SBQR infantry in lines piled up here all the way around that Spartan formation? Okay, so new players to Rome Total War, if you attack spears or pikes head on without a plan, you'll just find that all your infantry will just pile up dead in front of them. Okay, so remember, when you attack pikes or spears head on with Roman army, make sure you've got a plan to hold and pin those units and then get units in behind them. Okay, otherwise your army will kind of just pile up dead in front of those spears or pikes. But as I say here, you can see that Legion now is moving his units back together. As I say, it wouldn't surprise me if he decides to box up here, which might be the best tactical thing to do. Okay, so remember, at this stage of the battle, we are the red here and the SBQR. The enemy are the blue and Greek cities. So as you can see at a glance there, we are outnumbering them big time. But as I say, and as I'm sure most of you have seen, when Spartans box up, they are incredibly difficult to break. Okay, remember, they've got excellent morale, excellent specifications, and 2 hit points. Okay, luckily Uther's still got some pilers here that he's thrown into those Spartans, but remember, because those Spartans have got 2 hit points, pilers do less damage to those units. Because obviously you need to, with 2 hit points, that means you kind of have to kill them twice before they die. So with those pilers going in, they won't do as much damage as they would normally. Okay, can you see that one Spartan unit was just glowing there? So it's got a battlefield promotion. But what I wanted to show you here in this pause game is, you see I've moved my cavalry over to this flank, alright? Now what I want to show you here is the Spartan setup. Can you see he's got 1 unit facing that way? Okay, he's got 1 unit facing like the rear, if you like, towards those SBQR troops. And he's got another big unit facing that way, towards our Julii troops. But here, just this area here, can you see there's a little gap? A little gap, there's no big Spartan unit facing outwards that way. So what I'm thinking with my cavalry is, if I can charge my cavalry straight there, at the same time really pushing my infantry forward, and I know Uther's infantry will be pushing forward as well, we might get a mass rout. Okay, so that little gap in that Spartan formation there I spotted, and that's where I'd like to hit with my cavalry if I can. Right, if you notice here, can you see Uther charging all his infantry, and my infantry are already engaged, putting a lot of pressure on those Spartans. Okay, we're really trying to put, as I say, a lot of pressure on those Spartans. The Spartans will know they're outnumbered, so their morale will be lowered. Okay. So you see our troops moving in. Can you see Uther's cavalry charging in, and bang, he charges cavalry in. Okay, time for my cavalry to go in now and looking for that gap. I hope that gap's still there, because I'm going to charge my cavalry in there. See my cavalry going in there, and bang, as that cavalry smashes in there. And we surge all our troops forward at the same time. All our infantry move forward at the same time. So it's a cavalry and infantry impact there on those last Greek cities as we charge in. And I think you can see here we've our team has managed to go on to win the battle there. Okay, let's just pause the game for a second. So as I said here, remember, see those piles of SBQR troops that were around the perimeter of those Spartans, attacking those Spartans there, and you can see the piles of SBQR infantry in round those where the Spartan formation was. See, Lando's got 7 men in that one unit, 5 in another, 5 and 7, and another 5 in that unit. So you can see that his army was really kind of decimated there. Over on that flank, and those will be rallied units, I think. But if you look at the whole battlefield from one side to the other, this is where Lando's army got hit here by the enemy team. You can see lots of piles of dead there, a lot of cavalry as well as infantry in that particular part of the battlefield. And if you move up further, you can see the sheer intensity of this battle as we move across from one side of the battle to the other. You can see the piles of dead there, as we're just finishing off the last of those Spartan units. But as I say, this was a very intense battle from one flank to the other here, as you can see just by the piles of dead. A very intense battle there. You can see, and it covered quite a large area as well. Okay, I think there's just a couple of Steve's archer units. A couple of Steve's archer units that are still shooting into us there, but I think apart from that, most of the enemy have been down, taken out. Don't forget, Uther and Aurelius's archers were shooting into the enemy all the time with those fire arrows. Remember, those fire arrows don't just cause casualties, they lower the morale of troops as well. Like you see, we're just looking to take out the last of those enemy archer units there. And it's just charged in a few of my broken, very battle damaged cavalry units there, and bang! As we charge into those, the last of those enemy archers there. As I say, I think our team has just gone on to win there. Okay, the first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game there. Really well played, guys. It was a great battle there. As I say, it was an average victory. I thought maybe we might have just scraped into average. I thought it might have been a bit closer than that, but okay, the game says average there. So really well played to everybody in the game. I'd just like to draw your attention to Uhtred of Babenberg, who is of course Brotherhood member Uther, 1,673, so he got the highest kills in the game. I'm pretty pleased with that old army of mine, smallest army on the battlefield there, but managed to get the second best kills. Well done to Aurelius and Lando. And if you look at the enemy kills as well, Steve probably didn't get the number of kills that he wanted there, but the enemy team did well, I thought, in general there. So really well played, guys. As I say, I thought I'd just show this battle because being predictable, as I say, is that old saying, forewarned is forearmed. And if you become predictable, the enemy team know what you're going to do, and they can plan their strategy against you. So as I say, being attacking, being aggressive is really good, but if you do it all the time, as I say, you are in danger of becoming a bit predictable. Anyway, I thought this was a great battle. I'd just like to say really well played to Crypto, Legion, Trajan and Steve Longshanks. Really well played, guys. Nice aggressive attack in there. So really well done. But also really well done to Uther, Aurelius and Lando. Hope you enjoyed this battle. It's Spartan Commander saying bye for now.